Hi, everybody. It's Ronelle Delmont again, and I've got my dear friend Nancy, Atherton or Attardo. She's got two names that begin with A. And we just spent a lovely weekend together. Um, some of you already know that there was an important petition going around that, thank you for signing it if you did, trying to get the state police to relinquish envelopes so we can do DNA testing, find out who may have licked those envelopes for the ransom money back in 1932. And when when I went on that short crusade, trying to round up people to sign the petition, one of them that responded in an email to me when I sent it out to many people was Lise Pearlman, the author of the book. It's got a long name, but it's basically Suspect No.1, the man who got away. And you can see videos of me interviewing her. I think there are two or three videos from 2 years ago when her book came out. So she came to let me back up. She sent me an email about 10 days ago. It was less than 2 weeks ago. She sent me an email saying, well, I'm going to be in New Jersey doing a reenactment. Would you like to come? Well, nobody knew about this reenactment that I knew of. So I I bought a ticket and I arranged to go. And my friend Nancy Attardo is here to talk about the wonderful 3, 4 days. Was it 4 days? I don't know. I'm losing my voice. The wonderful time we all had. Our dear friend Kurt Tolksdorf came. Our dear friend Richard Sloan arrived. Gregory Algren, the author of the book that I dedicated my website to, and his lovely wife Barbara came. Who else? Well, and Nancy and her husband arrived. So here you go, Nancy. On the day, it's 75 years today that little Charlie Lindbergh was found in the woods. And I guess you and I do believe it was him. I'm sitting in front of an extra, I don't know what newspaper this was, Tulsa, Oklahoma, May 12th, 1932. And obviously, if I lean back, or child identified as Lindbergh baby by clothing found dead. Oh, the child is found dead after 73-day worldwide search. So Nancy and I are here to talk about the weekend we spent. Go ahead, Nancy. Remind me how wonderful it was that
Oh, it was
we were all
wonderful. Yeah,
together.
it was good to meet people that we know of, but we don't know them. So we met. I told Greg Algren and Stephen Manier's book, Crime of the Century, the Lindbergh kidnapping hoax, was the first book I ever knew about the kidnapping, the first book I ever read. That was 32 years ago. That started me on my scholarship of the kidnapping and on my collecting. And I did tell Greg that he and Stephen were responsible for me spending somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 on my Lindbergh collection.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, so I blame them for that.
Well, I
So
think
I was
Sam,
glad.
her husband wants to blame.
Yeah, so I blame. He took it graciously.
Yeah.
And I did take along some photos of my collection so he could appreciate it. Actually, Ronelle, it was 93 years ago that the baby was found in the woods.
Oh, I'm very bad at mathematics. 32 and 60,
And 25.
32 and 68, 68 and 12. Oh God, how did I get that wrong?
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
it was a long time ago.
I know, but there's no excuse because I even got
That's
Hauptmann's
okay.
birthday wrong in another video, so I'm not
That's
reliable with
okay.
numbers. Go
Well,
ahead.
I did it on my calculator, Ronelle.
Well, correct me. What is it then?
93 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why did I say 75? How did I? Okay, go ahead, Nancy. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, the weekend was extraordinary. It was great to see everyone. The reenactment, I'll tell you a little, our listeners a little bit what the reenactment was like. They had two prosecuting attorneys and two defense attorneys. One prosecuting attorney and one defense attorney were the 1935 attorneys.
Nancy, we didn't explain to the people watching this video what we're talking about.
Oh, there was a reenactment. That's what Ronelle told you about. Was that there was going to be a reenactment in New Brunswick, New Jersey, last Friday on the 9th that was going to determine whether Bruno Richard Hauptmann deserved a new trial. And the people attending the reenactment were going to be voting, were going to be able to vote on whether there should be a retrial. So at the reenactment, they had all the witnesses. They had Charles Lindbergh, they had Anne Lindbergh, they had Anne Lindbergh's mother, they had Amanda's Hochmuth, they had John Condon, they had a whole group.
Kloppenberg, remember? Wasn't
Pardon? Kloppenberg, yes, Kloppenberg was there. Yeah,
Hauptmann was there.
Hauptmann was there. They were all there. They were all revived from the dead. It was great.
But they
So,
were not, they explained, it wasn't a dramatic performance. It
not
was
at all.
a courtroom, and it was meant to be very straight.
Yes.
Without emotion or with, well, very few of them read with emotion. It was, they were reading from papers.
They were reading from 1935 what their answers were in 1935
Right,
at the trial.
right.
Right. So they had one one prosecuting attorney, one defense attorney who asked the 1935 questions. And the people who were on the witness stand answered as they did in 1935.
Right.
Then they had a prosecuting attorney and a defense attorney who asked 2025 questions
Right.
about suppositions we might have about the case in this year by now.
Right.
The thing is that none of the witnesses answered those suppositional questions.
That was we were all waiting for, they got off, as soon as those questions were put to them, they were released off the witness chair.
Yes, they listened to the questions and then they didn't answer them. So basically it was questions asked, but not questions answered. Okay. Now, here is one 1935 question that I do believe should have been asked and answered truthfully in 1935 with the facts that we actually do know. Anne was the first actual witness on the stand besides the land surveyor. I have, of course, in my possession with my $30,000 to $40,000 Lindbergh collection,
The original
hard copies of the trial transcript. This is volume 1 of many. But on page 62, Anne was asked, this was direct questioning. Now, during the afternoon, as I understand it, you stated that you were with the child and the child was playing around. Will you tell us about the child, about his playfulness that day? Was he a normal child? Anne answered, he was perfectly normal. Question, healthy? Answer, he was very healthy. I would have liked in the trial just one question, one answer changed. I would have liked Anne to say, no, he was not healthy. And the attorney to say, in what way was your child not healthy? And Anne would have had to answer the actual truth, which we know is the truth. It's written in almost every kidnapping book. The child, and it's written by Van Ingen in his February 1932 examination of the child, the physical, the baby had rickets. They just needed to leave it at that. Then we could have all said, wow, how does a millionaire's child have rickets? And then we could have all gone on that quest of that unanswered question. How did this millionaire's child have rickets? And I think that would have been good just to leave with the audience. That one answer.
No.
And Charles, of course, when he was asked if the child was healthy and normal, he would have had to answer as well that the child was not normal and healthy.
Van Ingen is nowhere in your books. Your
What is
your
nowhere?
trial books there, the 13 books. Van Ingen was never called.
Oh, well, the prosecution wouldn't have wanted him called.
No, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Was Van Ingen one of the test? He was not there. It was Mitchell.
Ronelle.
No. And not only that, but the medical records of Charlie, and let's call him by his name because he's only known as the Lindbergh baby. He had a name, and it's Charlie. In fact, I think Lise Pearlman's the only one who continually calls him by his name.
Charlie Jr.
Right, but every book has Lindbergh baby, the baby, the baby.
And,
and nobody gives him a name. He had a name.
Yes, and Judge Pearlman does a good job too.
She does that.
Of saying he wasn't a baby, he was a toddler.
Right. But regardless, why were the medical records not included in this 2-month trial? I mean, it's very suspicious. Just as you're saying, the mother was going to say, no, he was perfectly normal, perfectly healthy. But I'm not sure how rickets would have been seen as a devastating illness of any kind. You know, I don't know about you, I don't remember what you think about the health, but Kurt Tolksdorf and I believe he had rickets because he had epilepsy. And the drug for epilepsy in the 20s and 30s was phenobarbital, which the side effect of which is rickets. So even if rickets was a mild ailment that was that was treated with vitamin D, and we all know there was a sun lamp above his crib, which nobody mentions. The police never mentioned it. The newspapers didn't mention it. The sun lamp and the Viasterol drops were vitamin D, were to supply the child with more vitamin D. I interviewed Steve Romeo, and he had a good point, which I accepted at the time. He taught in one of these videos with Steve Romeo, who you're familiar with Steve for many years, right? You know Steve?
Yes.
Yeah. And he said in one of the videos that in those days rickets was normal because bread did not have
no, rickets was not normal, so that's nice. It was not normal.
No, but
he was a millionaire's child. No, children didn't have rickets back then.
Well, but the point was, why did the child have rickets when he was a millionaire's child? And Steve said, well, the milk and the bread were not amplified, but he was wrong.
Yes.
I found a button on eBay. I could make a picture of it. I found a button celebrating Lindbergh's flight in 1927 by a bread company that on the back of it said, "We put vitamin D in our bread."
Oh, okay.
So Steve Romeo, I'm debunking you, Steve, if you're listening to this. Go ahead, Nancy, go ahead.
Yeah, all children would have had rickets in that case.
Right. And they shouldn't have. I mean, Charlie shouldn't have had rickets. Period.
Yeah. So people should have should pursue that. Yeah.
What else about this weekend? Didn't you have a great time?
Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, it was great meeting Steve Romeo. I mean, it was great meeting Greg Manier.
No,
Greg
Gregory
Ahlgren, sorry,
Algren.
Greg Ahlgren and
Right.
Judge Pearlman. Yeah, they were
And
great.
what about Dr. Speck? Let's do let's do let me show okay, we're going to share the screen somewhere. Share. And we're going to do this. Okay, everybody, this is my flight into Newark. That's Manhattan over there. Nancy, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
You see the overhead? Well, I hope everyone is seeing this. Okay,
Yeah, the lower end
so
of Manhattan.
yeah, the reason I'm showing this is because, okay, you are screen sharing. Okay, there it is. I love this lady. I love her. You see
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
She was a goddess in my family, and she's really in Bayonne, New Jersey. She's not a New York City lady. You see this? This is Bayonne. New
Oh,
York
okay.
City is all the way over there. I don't know why she ended up in Bayonne, New Jersey, but yeah. Okay, so here is the Blackthorn Nancy, and we had a great time eating with Lisa.
There she is.
I have
Excellent.
very few pictures, so this was inside the Blackthorn restaurant, and this is Saison Love. Now, Nancy, please tell us who she is because I'll never remember.
The great grand niece of Richard Hauptmann.
The great grand niece,
Yes.
meaning how? What is the lineage? Do you remember?
That's as far as I can understand it, Ronelle. I'm going to say great grand niece.
Okay, lovely young lady.
Yes, she was
Well,
wonderful.
yeah, from
Of course,
California.
obviously, she cares a lot about Richard Hauptmann
And
and
she
justice being
she
done.
gave her DNA.
Excellent. Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
And there's Gregory and Barbara.
Exactly. Good. Nice photos.
And there's me and Cezanne and our dear friend Kurt Holksdorf.
Yes.
I didn't have time to finish this PowerPoint program. There's you.
Yes.
And I don't know who this lady was.
It was just a woman I was talking to before the reenactment. We were waiting in the waiting area together.
Yeah. And this was in the Monroe County Courthouse in New Brunswick, New Jersey, in case
In the Middlesex courthouse.
well, it was the Middlesex, no, it was the Monroe County Courthouse. The Middlesex Bar Association sponsored this.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Yeah,
And this is our dear friend Richard Sloan, who got all of us to meet. He's responsible for his bus tours in the Bronx every year, and we all found each other. Unfortunately, Richard left his cell phone on the table and luckily found it again. And this is the innards of the Monroe County Courthouse. Okay, this is what it looked like before everything started. They warned us not to take pictures or to do any recording, and I was so stupid. I usually don't follow rules, but I did, and I don't have many pictures. So this is outside afterward. There is
Oh, okay.
your dear husband, Sam.
Yes.
You still don't remember who that was? She was just a local
No, I didn't
person.
know names of anyone there, Ronell.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is Cezanne. She must have been 6'1", very
Okay.
tall lady. And this is Poppy Damon, who interviewed me and Gregory Ahlgren last summer to they're making a documentary. She's a BBC journalist, a British journalist, and she's such a sweetheart. Lovely, lovely person. And Cezanne, lovely. Weren't the people there wonderful? Oh,
They were terrific. Yes.
and you're writing something down. I don't know what it is, but
Oh, is what that could be, Ronell.
I don't
I
know.
have no idea.
You don't remember.
No, I have no idea.
There are some more. Unfortunately, and this is Joe Nocera. You didn't know who he was. He and Poppy took Gregory and myself for a whole day all over the Bronx, and we had a great time. Video. They filmed myself and Gregory at we went to Condon's house and we went to the cemetery. We went to Hauptmann's house. Lovely people. And there is Sam. This
Mhm.
He's amazing that he tolerates all this. And this is, God, please tell everybody about Dr. Speth.
Dr. Speth put together the information about especially the condition of the corpse when it was found. And also, I think he was the person who talked about what evidence was found in the 14 bags of dirt that they removed from the
Right.
burial area. He did a lot of incredible work.
He's basically the foundation of Lise Pearlman's book,
Yes,
in the
very much
sense
so.
that she latched on to Carell, which I tried to do for many, many years, and I didn't have Dr. Speth or anybody like him to help me.
Yes.
I was always sure that Dr. Carell had some knowledge of what was going on. I'm not sure she's correct or that he's correct, but they're certainly, very serious about what they found, and it makes sense. I don't know what you thought of what you think. I don't even know what you think of Lisa Pearlman's theory about Dr. Carell doing the removal. It was the removal of the kidneys that he focused on, right?
Yes.
After, let me explain to the people watching, because they're going to be confused. After the reenactment, Dr. Speth got up and answered questions and spoke, I think, at least for an hour, right?
I don't think that long.
No, it was very long. He loves to, he's very charismatic, and I've met him before, and he'll answer any question. Uh, did he did he did he help you understand things better? In other words, his his idea is that there's only one explanation for why the child's face was white until it was turned over in the mud, and the rest of the body was so far deteriorated. And I agree. Who am I to agree with a coroner of his stature? He's very famous and very. Uh, I think he's been in that business for like half a century, but it just sounds feasible that some chemical alteration was done to the corpse, and he explained it in gruesome detail.
Yeah, he believes it was probably a combination of tannic acid and alum that was used on the baby as a preservative
Right.
on the face.
The face,
So the face could be recognized.
right, to keep the facial features recognizable, and
And then when the body was turned over and it was drizzling, the face immediately turned a
black.
dark color,
Right.
like the rest of the body. Yes.
Right. Right. And there's Poppy Damon and Joe Nocera, by the way. Um, this fellow who is her partner, they're making movies about this case. He created a story that went viral, and they made a movie about it called The Shrink Next Door, which I've never seen, but I'm just mentioning it. Okay. And there's Dr. Speth, Kurt, listening, taking everything in the court. This is inside the courtroom. And there's Lisa with that funny this is, I didn't have time to put the names up, but this is Lisa's daughter Anna.
Okay.
She works with Barry Sheck and Peter Neufeld. I don't know who that lady was. Okay, so here we are in the restaurant, and your dear Sam, he's
Mhm.
lovely and tolerant of all of this. I don't know how he knows. I mean, he understands, right? What we're talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, my husband doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you are. sitting in the front row because the next day, Lisa, oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, 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 it's still, Lisa gave us a speech, a PowerPoint program,
Right.
and we sat in the front row, and there she is signing her books. And I want to tell everyone that on June 21st, this is something I picked up at the library when Lisa gave her speech. Uh, June 21st at 3 p.m., there are going to be original films from the Lindbergh trial that were discovered in the Hauptmann collection. That they've been in the basement of the East Brunswick Museum. And nobody's ever seen these before. They've been digitalized and put into wait a minute. No, she didn't say they were being colorized. They were digitalized. So they're going to be wonderful. I wish I could be there, but I cannot.
It was a surprise. Can you go back a minute there, Ronelle?
Yes, I can. Yes.
A surprise to me. It's obviously not all trial because this is John Condon here doing one of his demonstrations down at the bottom right.
Yep. Yep.
That's not from the trial.
No, no, not, but the unseen original films from well, I guess they worded it wrong because you're right. That's John Condon on a stage giving a lecture somewhere.
Right.
And
Now, Ronelle,
yeah,
okay, so our trip took us to go to New Brunswick over the weekend, 761 miles. Do
yeah.
Sam and I want to drive 761 miles to see these films?
I don't
How
know.
long will this presentation be is the big question to me.
I don't know. There's probably a phone number there. No, there's no number. You could just call, it's the Community Arts Center in East Brunswick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, filming wasn't allowed in the courtroom. So I can't imagine that there could have been extensive films taken at the trial.
No, no, they reenacted it after we're running out of time, so there's only 7 minutes left. So you and I are gonna do a second part because I have some of your artifacts that you want to talk about.
Sure.
And but this is important to advertise. That's why I took the flyer and I put it up here. I spoke with the archivist from the East Brunswick Museum. Uh, well, I've got her name and I've got her email address. So anybody who wants to, I could put it up with the video. Anybody lives in New Jersey, wants to travel 700 or 7,000 miles, I don't care. I just think anything that has to do with the case ought to be advertised. You
Exactly
understand?
right. Yes.
Everything,
Definitely.
right. So, um, before we go to part two, we
Okay.
have a few minutes left. What was some of when we all got together, Kurt and Richard, uh, yourself, myself, when we got, and Gregory, of course, what was some of the things we discussed that you think you never heard before? Anything important that we talked about that wasn't just rehashing old, any new?
No, I think nothing new came out of what we had to say. I think I find it interesting that we all have our own separate opinions about how this all happened back in 1932.
Well, what do you think of Lisa's book in general? Do you think she's got most of it right, some of it right?
I think Judge Pearlman has everything brilliantly done in her book. I think she understands Charles Lindbergh completely in his role. Henry Breckenridge has never been talked about as much as she did.
Right,
Their collaboration beforehand.
right.
She talks about Alexis Carrel. I gave her a bookmark for a flyer that I have for the House of Frankenstein from Niagara Falls to use as a bookmark in her book because Alexis Carrel and Lindbergh were Dr. Frankenstein combined.
Yeah,
I think we will never know the associates Lindbergh had to pull this off.
right.
I think we don't have enough information. We just don't have enough information. I thought Lise Pearlman put together everything we can possibly know. And I think she did it, and especially adding Dr. Speth and Dr. Bass's information. I think she did a phenomenal job, and I'm with her 100% of the way, completely 100% of the way.
So you think they actually removed organs of the child while he was alive?
It's the only way it can be. There could be no way this child could be in the woods from March 1st till May 12th and have his heart and liver still intact in the
Well,
body.
that's very suspicious because the animals would have eaten that immediately and it's still untouched by the vermin and there were no vermin.
There was no veil of vermin and there was
No,
no gnawing of the bones.
no. I have to say
Um,
goodbye until next time.
okay, Ron, now this is
But
fun.
I'm waiting for it to shut off. I don't understand what Zoom is doing. Uh, okay, keep on talking. If we're gonna do part two.
Oh, and then of course we need to talk about Charles Lindbergh having the child's corpse cremated the next
Right,
day after. So
right,
that's another part of the mystery of the corpse. Yes.
right.
Yes.
His father was cremated though. I think
Oh,
Greg,
well, that's fine, but with a homicide, the
right,
law
right.
is
No,
that you
no,
have to wait until there's been an autopsy. There was a
right,
look-see, but
right.
there was no real autopsy of the child. So we understand cremation, we just don't understand the date of it.
Yeah, no, but I think Gregory and Stephen got it wrong in their book where they say that nobody in the family was cremated well, Lindbergh did not cremate himself, but he did
No,
that for his child and he never spoke of it again. That's horrible.
no,
He never
because
spoke of the baby or counted it. Lisa gets that important fact in her book. She
yeah.
gets a lot of things right, some things wrong. Of course, like the boy on the tricycle is not Charlie. You know that picture? She's got it.
Mhm.
That's not Charlie. And she says that Hittner and Nozowitzki are the same person. So I don't agree.
But those are the associates that we don't understand. I'm not sure it's even worth our time to go into that. That's a
Right.
mystery. I don't believe we'll ever know.
No, there's so
We'll
much.
we'll never know.
Right.
We'll never know actually how Violet Sharp died, unfortunately. Or we'll never know really maybe how Ollie Whately died.
Right.
Those were two very, very, very suspicious deaths.
Does she raise that issue in her book about
Yes,
Ali? What
she
she
does. She does. Yes. Yes, she's done such a thorough job. It's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, um, maybe I should continue with the point. All right, if it stops, we'll do it. Okay, here we go. Now, the next one is very interesting. This is the deed to High Fields, and it's two words. Everybody puts the words together incorrectly. Tell us about this.
This is a document